Something else came out on Friday. Clutch Points Brett Ziegel had put this out there. That there was more and more dissatisfaction for the superstar big men within the Lakers organization. I want to hit on this real quick because I actually kind of support Anthony Davis in this one, and I'd love to see what you guys got to say as well. Here's what Brett Siegel had put out there that he's reporting. He only played in 36 games the season after winning a championship due to calf and Achilles strains, and then Davis only played in 40 games during the 2021-2022 season because of a left MCL sprain. The very next season, Davis missed 20 games with a right foot injury. Okay, let's keep going here. All good. This has, obviously been part of the story with Anthony Davis. Throughout these 3 years in which Davis was consistently in and out of lineup as a result of many injuries, internal concerns about why Davis took care or the way Davis took care of his body began to loom large. Then, I guess, was one of the last straws here is when Anthony Davis basically goes on ESPN and asks, it says, one action from Davis sealed his fate in LA. Davis and his camp held a meeting with the Lakers before the 2024 season was in full swing, sources said. The stress and importance of having more help around him, specifically at the center position. Remember when AD did that sit down with Shams on like a Tuesday, and then he got traded on a Saturday or Sunday or whenever that was. And he's basically asking like, hey, go look at the season that we had when we won an NBA championship. Get me a center and play me at the 4. And apparently the Lakers didn't like that. And there were some rumblings about that early on too, that they were not a fan of Anthony Davis kind of going public with that. I got to be honest with everybody. And the Anthony Davis has already what Davis said in the interview was essentially the last straw. I got to be honest with everybody. The whole AD Lakers stuff, that's all gone. Lakers, Anthony Davis, I thought, did a good job while he was a Laker. Did you have frustrations with Anthony Davis? Did you ever want to hand the keys to AD and say, hey, this is your franchise? Absolutely not. And you see how quickly the Lakers got Luka Doncic. Luka's like, give me the damn keys. I sit on the front seat. I drive the car. I tell you where we're going. That's just kind of your alpha, your true leader. And that didn't really feel like that was ever going to be the case with Anthony Davis. But here's the one thing I will say. Was Anthony Davis ever wrong about wanting to play the 4 spot and have a center at the 5? I never understood that from the Lakers, from the franchise and the organization. When people say, oh, that was the last straw. It wasn't the last straw. They got offered Luka. I don't know if the Lakers were trading Anthony Davis unless Luka was on the table. I'm sure there's other players they would have traded. They would have traded him for Anthony Edwards. They'd have traded him for Jason Tatum. There's other players they would have traded him for, but those franchises wouldn't have done that. I always had an issue trying to understand why the franchise was so opposed to having Anthony Davis play the 4 and putting a center like they did in that 2020 run where Anthony Davis got to play the 4. And, obviously you had a legit center at the 5. I mean, the following season they had Marc Gasol, and I know Marc Gasol wasn't the same player, but I think the Lakers would have beat the Suns in the playoffs if AD didn't get hurt. I always had a difficult time of, and listen, I don't agree with that was the last straw. Bullshit. You probably weren't going to trade Anthony Davis anyways, unless Luka was brought to the table. You were gifted Luka Doncic. I was thinking about this. I can't remember if there was a topic that was brought up or this was just me thinking about it. What would they have done if the Luka trade wasn't there? What was going to be the Lakers' future if Luka wasn't there? They were going to have AD and LeBron. Anthony Davis would continue not to be dependable and have a ceiling and not be the head of your franchise. LeBron was going to age out. I don't know what they would have done. Like literally, I think this franchise was kind of saved here by this Luka trade. At least the future of it was. They would have done something. It's the Lakers. I understand it, but what would they be unhappy about? I think what Anthony Davis was asking for was a legit reason of why Anthony Davis felt we got a better shot of winning the whole thing if you get me what I'm looking for. All right, let's see what we got here. Because we were trying to get quicker and modern, who was the center to get Valanciunas? No, I think it was more just the idea and the concept. Go get a player like this, a model player like this. And again, that whole thing about like that was the last straw. What are you talking about? It wasn't the last straw. You're not trading Anthony Davis unless you got something unbelievable in return. And instead you get, obviously you get who you get. You got Luka. I'll give Luka having a finals appearance and being conference MVP, but he hasn't proven his style of play can win a chip. Okay. I could give you that. I think if I told you, give me the top 5 players in the NBA right now. Ooh, how do I do this? Do I want to throw that player in there or not? Has Giannis proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Jokic proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Shea proved he can win a chip? He has. Has Tatum proved he can win a chip? He has. I could give you that. But I think to win an NBA championship, you got to understand there's obviously so much more than one player. Everything's got to connect and work. But I think what he was doing in Dallas, he was over-delivering for Dallas. Like you were reaching hey, I don't think they could get any better. I think this is the best that they can get. Unless other players came in or whatever the case is. But that's interesting. I'm okay with that. SGA didn't improve until last year. Yeah, and he's young. I mean, SGA is very, very young. At first, I thought the trade was dumb, but glad it worked out. Yeah. There was a report Rob was probing about AD trades. If that happened to influence Nico, then the front office gets credit. I mean, the front office gets credit because the trade happened and it was kept under quiet, and Nico Harrison got exactly what he was looking for, and they kept Austin Reeves, and they kept a first rounder or more first rounders. That's why that whole trade was, obviously, but it was more the stupidity of the Dallas Mavericks than I think the credit of the Lakers. I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, that's what I think it was. Lakers need to hire Nico as a consultant. I was listening to Raymond Felton. If you guys remember, Raymond Felton was on. I don't even know if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what he was talking about, but he was on NBA Sirius XM radio, and I think Amin Al Hassan, and they were talking about Nico Harrison. This was I listened to it yesterday, but it was during the week last week. And he was saying things like he thinks Nico's going to definitely get another job. And, he was just kind of made out to be the scapegoat, and he never got a chance to see what his vision was with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. And if those players were healthy, that team would have been a lot better, everything else. I got to be honest. I don't know if he gets another job in the NBA. I don't, because I think if you're a bad organization and you feel like, hey, we got nothing to lose with Nico Harrison, maybe you take that chance, and it's something along those lines. Because Nico did do a good job building the Dallas Mavericks. He's just never going to be remembered as somebody that he's never going to be remembered for what he did. He's going to be remembered for trading Luka. And there's a good reason why people will remember him for that. But a lot of stuff Raymond Felton was saying, like, I don't know if this guy is guaranteed to get another gig back in the NBA. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not as sold as that happening as maybe Raymond Felton was. So we'll see what eventually happens in regards to that. But I think that's going to be very, very, it would be complicated for him to get another gig in the league. Let's put it that way. It will definitely be complicated for him to get another gig in the league. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.